Hi guys, welcome back to Harry Makes Up. Today I have my very special guest Marissa in the studio with me. I met Marissa recently on another photo shoot we were doing. We love playing with makeup. She loves makeup too. And we just thought we would do the look. I think I put it on my Instagram at the time and loads of you guys were asking what products we use. So I have some of the products I used when we filmed that and a few extra to show you. So this look is pretty simple. I feel like it's nice for day or night and it's got a nice autumn vibe. So if that sounds good, just keep watching. So I'm going to go in, guys, with my Glossier Stretch Concealer. You will notice I've decanted these. I just find in a view set palette it's so much easier to use. I think the shades I'm using are G7 and G8. I'm probably going to mix a couple. I think because Marissa's got amazing skin, obviously I don't want to kind of fully cover everywhere. I just want to even out a little bit. And we'll just freshen, polish, all that good stuff. So I'm just going on and then I'm buffing with a little Zoeva face brush. And I'm not really even using it all over. I'm just kind of doing it where I want to add a little bit of brightness. This has a really nice dewy finish as well, so I love this. What's your go-to base, Marissa, for like light coverage?
Product-wise?
Yeah.
Okay, I start off, I don't know if you're familiar with Sunday Riley.
Yes,
they have an
I love
influencer foundation that's wet and light.
Yes.
And I kind of start off with that, and then I go in with an Hourglass foundation stick.
Do you know what's so funny? I worked on the campaign for that foundation.
It's good. It's really good, but me having combination skin,
Yes.
dry and it's like not too dry, not too oily. I feel like I need to mix something though with the foundation stick.
Yeah.
But I'm also still experimenting with tons of
that's
products.
good. That's
so
how it should be. It's like...
I feel like you nailed the correct color that I am. So I'm definitely taking notes from you today.
Oh, well, you've got an amazing blog as well, right? You do like...
She's goalsledded.com.
Yes, I'm going to put it on the skincare guys as well.
More skincare things than makeup, so don't go in there thinking I'm a makeup artist.
But I think people love, I feel like models have such good
But it starts from
with
within.
skincare. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so there's some good skincare tricks and tips and products on there in a few reviews I've done. So check it out if you guys have some time.
Exciting. Well, you were talking about your skin, and I feel like the biggest thing I did when I was working on Marissa's skin when we met is kind of mixing colours. I feel like not many people's skin tone is all one colour. I feel like that's the whole reason we have concealer and we use different products to kind of create, for me it's not about being flawless, it's about just being that polished, more elevated version of you. So then I go back to this palette. I'm actually going to start to go into the more warmer shades now, and I use those colours on Marissa a little bit more around the outskirts of the face and just blend it inwards a little bit. But because this is sheer, it's not kind of changing the look of her skin, it's just, like I said, adding a little bit of polish. And I feel like the Glossier Stretch Concealers, I'm going to turn you that way, my love, they're really good because they're very forgiving. So they act like a tinted moisturiser. So if you're new to makeup, you find this kind of technique a little bit daunting. These are just, like I said, so forgiving. You can really build the coverage to what you want it to be, but they're sheer enough that, you can kind of play with colours, find what's the right tones for you. And same with the hairline as well. I'm just going to take that slight warmer colour, just a little bit, and kind of like stippling it around the hairline, and then just using quite a firm brush to make sure it's all buffed in. We don't want any in the hairline.
And does that warm up the face?
It does, yeah. It just kind of gives you that all over glow, but without me kind of making you one tone, which I think sometimes looks a bit too flat, a bit too
I think that's
ghostly.
my mistake sometimes, because it is my shade, but it'll feel a little, not white, but like
yes,
a little lighter, and I don't know how to warm up my face.
Yes, and I think the thing is as well, you can use cream bronzers, you can use cream contour products to add in a bit of depth if you need to, but even with those, go steady. I think kind of less is more. So base-wise, that's kind of as much as I'm going to do in terms of foundation. I mean, this is much more like a tinted moisturiser because Marissa doesn't need a lot of coverage. But you were saying to me one of your problem areas is dark circles.
Dark circles.
Yes.
I've been battling them my whole life.
Well, and if there's one, and sometimes it is hereditary, so I think, there are things you can do that can help a little bit, but also if it's something you have quite deep set, then it can just be hereditary. So green tea ice cubes you can use wrapped in a muslin cloth. Yeah, even just cold tea bags just laid on your eyes is really, really nice. Obviously the under eye patches I use a lot for celebrity clients when they're kind of off a red eye flight, etc. But if it is hereditary, I think I'm going to show you the tricks that will help. No one will ever know.
Yes. It's just, I feel like my mistake I make sometimes is putting too much product where then it gets cakey.
Yes.
I want to know how to make it look like skin.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, it almost looks weird before it looks right. It's that thing, the colour that you're going to use first makes you go, oh, I don't know if I'm doing it right. But it's about, if you think of the colour wheel, that's the best way to describe it. The opposite of like blue is orange and the opposite of like purple is yellow. So you almost are kind of using those colours to counteract before you actually conceal anything. So I have another mix of concealers here. I'm going to use a little bit of this colour, which is, you will see is quite a bright orange. And I'm also going to mix it with, she says, a little bit of one of these Charlotte Tilbury creamy concealers. So this one is more peachy and this is the shade 2. So I'm just going to do a little concoction, just using a spatula on the back of my hand. And you won't need a lot of this. That's the other thing I will say. I think the temptation is with kind of covering under eye dark circles is to do more is more is more is more. Whereas I think that's when it starts to look like there's something else there instead of a dark circle. And sometimes you draw more attention to it. So these are the two colours. You'll see them on my hand. It's like peachy and orangey. The darker your skin tone, the more deep you can go with the orange tone. So I'm just going to mix these two. So it's literally like painting. This is when I love makeup the most, when it becomes that like customizing. So we've got a stipple brush. So we can see the most darkness starts from the inside and kind of comes to there. Now I don't want to take this all the way up to the eye because sometimes that in itself draws more attention. So we're just going to stipple like that. So like I said, at first it looks more weird, but you can even see a little bit on that how it starts to just take away any blue or purple coming through. And I just use the warmth of my finger just to tap over the edge. Okay.
That's already better.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's such a good trick, and I think it's one of those things that people see this and go, no, that will never look right. But again, even there where I've started to take up the nose, that's too far. So I'm just using the warmth of my finger just to bring it in a little bit. And just close me down. I'm going to take it a little bit in that inner corner there as well. And I'm just going to use my finger just to warm that through. So that really is our kind of colour correcting, if you like. So then I'm taking the Cover FX Power Play Concealer, which you guys know I love. I think Colour FX is amazing for base products generally because the shade range is so good. I'm going to take a Real Techniques kind of setting brush. Just look up for me, darling. And we're just going to start going over. So you can see I've not overly blended underneath, but also because this is a very pigmented concealer, I'm not having to use tons and tons of it. So this is where, and I'm not kind of really buffing yet, I'm just patting so that we kind of cover what we've done. And again, you can use the warmth of your finger for any edges, because really it's kind of about being delicate with the work that you're doing. And because this colour is a nice kind of brightening concealer, I can use it a little bit around the nose. But also you'll notice I haven't gone super, super bright under the eye. I think that's the other thing sometimes is with dark circles, the temptation is to go like 7 shades lighter. And by the same token, I think that also can make it look a lot, it draws more attention too. So then with what's left of my finger, I can just start to take a little bit of that concealer into the brow bone. Like if you look straight ahead for me, you can see the difference. So it really is, you have to kind of start with the other side and be patient knowing that the other side will come. I want to set the under eye area because obviously we've done more concealing work. So I'm going to use the By Terry Hyaluronic Hydra Powder, which is a new obsession of mine. As the name would suggest, it has hyaluronic acid in, so it's incredibly hydrating.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, especially good. And what I will say is before you go and do your concealer, just take the brush you used and just do one more kind of buff. So you can make sure there's no creasing, and then you're just going to set it. And for me, I like quite a small brush. I don't really like going under the eye with like masses of brushes or powder because I feel like that it does start to get cakey. So we're just using the powder really specifically, and I'll set a little bit around the nose. But also with this amount of powder, it's actually thin enough that if I did have to correct anything, I could without it kind of ruining the whole makeup. So that is how I like to...
So much
That's how I like to hide Any dark circles, any darkness. If you have a lighter skin tone than Marissa, then you would use something that's more of like a salmony, light peach colour. You want to look for kind of peachy tones, and the darker your skin tone goes, the more orangey it would go. So if it helps, guys, I can always do a blog post about this, like kind of in more depth for different skin tones as well. So when I met Marissa, the look that I did was this kind of gorgeous like burnt orange with like a pinky hue eye. So it was very subtle, but it kind of, we were both like, I remember doing Marissa's eyes and I was like, oh, I want to do it. So the colour I used is actually called Brulee, and I have decanted it. It's this one here, this like orangey burnt tone from Chanel. It's one of their Illusion d'Ombre shades, which I love using in my pro kit because, again, I can do the base first. Don't have to worry about anything spilling down. So if you just close me, Marissa. And again, these are great as well because you're not really going to need an eye primer. I feel like unless you had really, really oily eyes, I find these kind of cream to powder shadows act much like a eye primer. So I took this quite high up the eye actually. And I'm using quite a big fluffy brush. And we really did take it quite high up towards the brow and just started to kind of buff out. It's just such a pretty colour. Okay, so you guys know I am a huge lover of the Armani eye tints. They're a liquid eyeshadow, but they're much sheerer than some of my other. If I want a really intense, more like matte finish, I like the Ella's Fast Creamy Eyes. But this colour is the most gorgeous kind of raspberry mauve sheen. And I'm going to use this on top. So I'm just going to take the same brush I used to apply. So the big fluffy one, and I just want to add, like I said, another kind of colour tone to the eye so it starts to take on this kind of pinky sheen, and this does have more of a kind of sheen to it, so it's so, so pretty. Next I'm taking the Lancome Monsieur Big Mascara, so if you just look down for me, darling, and I think we're going to put a couple of individuals in as well because why not? So I'm just lifting the lid slightly and just getting a good coat of mascara all the way along the lashes. I'm actually quite enjoying there being nothing on the bottom lash, which I may keep. I think I'm going to see how it looks once we've done mascara. So these are by Nikki Makeup. It's a collaboration she did with Swede Lashes, and this is called No Lash Lash, and I've been using these quite a bit on red carpet, and they are really, really beautiful. So we're going to use a few of these just to give a little bit more flutter because I feel like the look is subtle, but it's impactful enough in that it's all about the colours and the tones, but we'll just give a little lash. So there's a mix of different lengths in here. I'm starting with the second row in, which I'd say is like the sort of second to shortest lash. But I just love these. I think they're so pretty and they really give that little flutter. So I would say I'm doing one lash and then equal space, a gap. And I'm just going to do this pretty much along the lash line. And I think if you find putting individual lashes quite hard, putting them on quite hard, these ones you'll like because they actually have more of a kind of square, flat portion that sits into the base of the lash, rather than being like a ball. So first of all, they look really undetectable. And second of all, I think it gives you a bit more something to grip to. So in terms of putting it into your lashes, it's a little bit easier. So that's the finished lash result, and they really are like no lash lashes. I may put a little bit of mascara just into the roots at the end, but I feel like I want to kind of finish the rest of the makeup, then come back to that. We've added a little bit of lip balm, and now we're going to go on to brows. Surprise, surprise, you guys, well, you won't be surprised to hear it's me using M Cosmetics again. This is the Brow Fluff, and I think it's the Brow Fluff Cream. I just love this stuff, so I'm actually going to use Brunette. But I could probably use Ebony as well if I wanted to. And I just love this product, guys. I use it pretty much everyone in my pro kit, actually. I feel like models, actresses.
It's so good.
So good. It just, yeah, you don't even have to try. And I feel like you can layer. You can really start to bring more texture in and build up. So if you want to kind of add more colour, go against the brow hair first on the area that you want to add more. And then just take it back through again the other way. Okay, so let's come back to skin. I felt like you said your skin is combination, didn't you, Marissa?
Yes.
So the nice thing is I've kind of set the under eye, but it's not like I powdered everywhere else. So I can still go back in with a little bit of cream if I like. which I think I will do actually. I'm going to take the Honest Beauty, this is their cream blush in Rose Pink. So it's quite like a dusky kind of colour. It's not too vibrant, but I'm going to, again, like what we did the eyes, just kind of mix a bit of colour theory in. So back to this more solid brush, just going to work it in, and then I tend to take kind of the excess first on the back of my hand. And I'm just going to start, again, kind of like stamping the product. I feel like you don't need, with cream blusher, especially if you have done any kind of concealing or correcting work, you don't really want to kind of swipe too much. So a brush like this is really good if you just want to kind of stipple and take up the skin. I actually quite like it going into the eye a little bit as well, so it just all looks really seamless together. I always like a little bit on the bridge of the nose, just so it all looks like it's working together. So then at this point, what I can do now, where I've got the blush on the back of my hand, is add in concealer for any pinpoint concealing I want to do before I go back in with the final little layer of blush. So I'm just going to mix some colours. I'm using a mix of Clé de Peau concealers and Laura Mercier. And I'm just going to work those in. So I'm just making a little custom mix on the back of my hand first. It's going to go over any little teeny tiny blemishes, and then I'm just kind of patting. I mean, there really is hardly anything. You were saying you get quite dark spots, weren't you, when like you break out?
Yes, so I'm glad to watch you do this process because I should apply my layers first. That's why I feel like when I do my makeup, I'm trying to spot conceal it in the beginning and it just gets
lost. Yeah, I like a really, really tiny brush if I'm doing this. I fully appreciate if you have a lot of acne or you have a lot of blemishes you're working with, then this technique might be too time consuming, in which case I really like something like the Cover FX Cream Foundation just to use for any areas that are larger, and that's what I will do in my red carpet kit, etc. But I just find when it's just the odd one, you just want it to seamlessly disappear into the skin. So I'm just going to take a little bit here. So continuing with my more fluffy brush now, I'm going to add a bit more depth into the blush, and because I love this kind of plummy, burnt orangey tones, I'm going to use the NARS liquid blush in Dolce Vita, which I have decanted. Obviously it doesn't come like this, but this is a really beautiful like maroon, quite a deep pink tone that kind of matches the eyes. I feel like there is like a matchy vibe to this makeup, but I'm really into it. And I'm just going to take that more into the center. So you can see straight away it has a little bit more pigment. I'll turn you that way, my love. And we're just going to start to feather in a little bit of this. And again, keeping it high towards the eye. So it's all like blending into each other. And just back and forth, making sure everything kind of blends. So then I'm going back into my powder, and I'm just going to set any areas that I want to kind of remove any glow. So I'm going to take a little bit, and also to set any of the little blemish correcting work you've done or anything you've done to kind of hide blemishes. Just use a little bit of powder again. I still like a small brush just because it enables you to be really precise. I like a little bit of sheen on the sides of the forehead as well. I think it just looks really youthful. And I'm not going to set the cream blush because I just think it looks so pretty with that glow. But I'm just, because Marissa's got combination skin, I'm just going to use a little bit of powder around here. That way it kind of won't look shiny in a way that's greasy. And sort of just like here, it's almost like pressing it in there. So just like a press and roll action. So we've just blotted off the lip balm, and I'm now going to go in with MAC Boldly Bare. I'm just going to turn you this way a bit, my love. And I'm just going to use this kind of all over the lip really, because this is quite a nice deep pink tone. I'm just going to use this, so you can just see it starting to add kind of like within the same colour family. And I don't really want to change the shape of Marissa's lips, I just want to just add, like, even out the colour tone. And I'm just using my finger as well, just to kind of push over the edge a little bit, so it naturally makes them a little bit fuller, but without looking like super perfected. It just looks a bit like more natural. Okay, so then I'm going to take the Shiseido lipstick. This is the Modern Matte in Disrobed 506, and I'm just going to use a Colourpop brush, and I'm just going to pat this on top. And this has that kind of really nice like rosy tone. So then I'm just going to take the NARS Afterglow Lip Balm. This is one of a really cute one from their little sets, their mini sets for Christmas. This is in the shade Dolce Vita, which is just the perfect kind of rosy hue. And we're just going to add a little bit of that to the centre. I think we're good, guys. I feel like I keep analysing, being like, is there anything else? But sometimes it's important to know when to stop.
My whole problem, literally, is just put it down.
What a dream face to paint. What a pleasure. Second time, so very, very lucky. I hope you guys enjoyed this look. Lots of techniques to take away in there. Let me know specifically what you guys still struggle with and what you'd like to see more of on my channel. I would love for you guys to subscribe. I will leave all the details to Marissa's blog as well and her Instagram, etc. in the description box. Have a wonderful weekend, whatever you're doing, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.